How does a band go from Warped Tour legend status to industry outcasts? This is basically what happened to Cute Is What We Aim For. This was a band who seemed to have everything. Millions of streams on MySpace, a deal with Fueled By Ramen, and one of the most explosive debut albums in pop-punk history. But behind the scenes, things weren't quite so sweet. There were fights, betrayals, and a frontman with his own ideas of what he wanted to do. Ideas that some believed ended up tearing the band apart. Today we're breaking down the rise and the fall of Cute Is What We Aim For. And we're asking the big question, did Shaant Hackiyan destroy his own band? Or was he just another victim of the music industry? The story of Cute Is What We Aim For begins in Buffalo, New York in 2005. Teenage friends Shaant Hackiyan, Jeff Chum, Tom Falcone, Fred Samato, and Donnie Arthur got together, with dreams of creating the next pop-punk and emo sensation. While considering what to call themselves, Hackiyan apparently said their name would need to be something cute. Struggling to come up with anything, the guys ended up settling on Cute Is What We Aim For, or CIWWAF if you're in a hurry. CIWWAF were in a hurry too. Almost straight away, they were writing music and putting out demos on MySpace and Pure Volume. Tracks like Teasing to Please became underground hits, as thousands of fans started streaming this intriguing band from New York State. Plenty of bands became online sensations in those early days of social media, but Cute were able to translate this into real-world success. In the spring of 2005, they won Pure Volume's online Battle of the Bands competition, which landed them a place in the lineup for Bamboozle Festival. This led to a crazy summer for the band, during which they first found themselves touring with Rookie of the Year, then losing a member when Arthur quit the band, and then recording a new round of demos in New York City. It was a head-spinning couple of months, but with Arthur gone, they needed to choose their next move carefully. The band decided to continue as a quartet, and it seemed to be the right call. The four young guys from Buffalo quickly caught the attention of John Janik of Fueled By Ramen. He invited the band to meet with him, and they ended up signing with one of the biggest pop-punk labels of the day. In many ways, they were the perfect band for the MySpace generation, and they were ready to explode into the mainstream. But was it all too much too soon for Cute Is What We Aim For? Could the band really handle the pressure? Fueled By Ramen hadn't signed Cute Is What We Aim For out of the goodness of their hearts. They signed the band because they expected them to be megastars, and so they marketed them aggressively. At first it seemed to work. Tracks like The Curse of Curves became massive hits on MySpace long before they were released for real, and it seemed like the online buzz around the band was close to breaking point. So when their debut album, The Same Old Blood Rush with a New Touch, was released in June 2006, it was an immediate hit. The fastest-selling album in Fueled By Ramen's history, the record sold almost 30,000 copies in its first month. And singles like The Curse of Curves and There's a Class for This scored serious airtime. But what should have been a triumphant period for the band was tarnished almost immediately. Critics weren't impressed by the band's work. Reviewers called them contrived and pointless, with little substance of any kind. While music magazines were swooning over the artistry and creativity of emo contemporaries like MCR and Panic at the Disco, Cute Is What We Aim For got slammed in the music press. And the scene eyed them with suspicion too. Many considered them just a hype band, a label project designed to make as much money as possible from the latest teen fad, before the wave broke and kids moved on to the next big new thing. Even within the band, things weren't quite right. Fred Samato wasn't loving life in Cute Is What We Aim For, and left in the fall of 2006. Jack Marin came in to replace him, but Marin didn't last long either. He reported personal issues with another member of the band, stating that he just was not happy at all. Cute Is What We Aim For had exploded onto the scene, but now the whole thing seemed ready to fall apart. Mauled by critics, distrusted by the scene, and seemingly unable to get along with one another, where was the band going to go from here? After Marin left, Samato returned, and the band added Dave Melillo as a second guitarist in 2007. Cute Is What We Aim For became a five-piece for the first time since 2005. So now the group could look forward to writing and recording a second album, but they were in a slightly awkward position. The label had loved their first record, and it sold like hotcakes and made a ton of money for everyone involved. But plenty of other people hadn't loved it. Cute Is What We Aim For might have been the hype band on the scene, But they weren't the cool band. They weren't exactly critical darlings. Working with Goldfinger vocalist and experienced producer John Feldman, Cute Is What We Aim For tried to decide what they wanted to do with the new album. But recording sessions were difficult. "We were nervous, unprepared, and in a new situation," Melillo recalled. And Feldman, though used to working with difficult pop-punk bands, including his own, was having none of it. "He looked at us like, 'What the F are you doing?'" Melillo later said. So the band went away. They practiced, they honed their material, and they kicked themselves in the ass. And they came back and killed it. Maybe working with Feldman made all the difference. When Cute Is What We Aim For released their second album, Rotation, in June 2008, they kinda managed to keep everyone happy. Well, almost. Firstly, they had another hit on their hands. It actually sold faster than the first record, almost achieving the debut's first month sales in just a week. This landed the band just outside the top 20 of the Billboard 200. Secondly, they didn't quite get the critical mauling they received the first time around. The album reviews weren't all glowing, but they weren't wall-to-wall negative either. Slowly, critics were warming to the band. And thirdly, the scene was warming a little too. Cute Is What We Aim For had stuck around. They'd released 2 albums and toured with basically every emo and pop-punk band under the sun. Maybe they weren't industry plants after all. Maybe they weren't just a cynical ploy to sell records for Fueled by Ramen. Okay, so 2 albums into their career, Cute Is What We Aim For were back on track. Or were they? In August 2008, Tom Falcone lifted the lid on what was going on within the band he had helped create. "Personality conflicts and daily drama make it impossible to live a peaceful, happy life," he said. Needless to say, he quit. Temporary drummers Liam Killeen and Michael Lasapanera filled in on tour. Hackiyan tried to downplay the tensions. He said not everyone sees eye to eye, but stressed that the band members were comfortable with where they were at. Was that really true? Apparently not. Before 2008 was out, Samato left the band again. Melillo and Chum left the group in the summer of 2009. Now only Hackiyan was the original member. And he was in a dark place. Cute Is What We Aim For was collapsing. But could Shaant Hackiyan pull the whole thing together? There was some half-hearted talk about a new album, but really by the fall of 2009, Cute Is What We Aim For was done. With only Hackiyan left from the original lineup and with no real ideas or direction for what to do next, the group had zero momentum. Hackiyan would later speak candidly about just what had gone wrong. "My world was coming down on me from the depression and alcoholism, and then my baby, my dream, was falling away," he said. "I understood that it was all my doing through my abusive actions with substances." Hackiyan went into rehab that October and emerged with a clearer idea of what he wanted to do. He kind of turned CIWWAF into a solo project, releasing a digital-only single, Harbor, in April 2010. The following month, he dropped the news that he was working with Mike Novak, the former drummer from Every Time I Die, on a new record. Recruiting Michael Brady and Dylan Selleck, this makeshift lineup even managed to go out on tour, first in the US, then in Australia. The band might have been basically dead, but Hackiyan was keeping the name alive, at the very least. They contributed a track to Fearless Records' Punk Goes Pop 3 compilation, and released 2 more digital singles over the next couple of years. But fans really weren't interested. They didn't want a Panic at the Disco-style solo project from an increasingly desperate lead singer. They wanted the real Cute Is What We Aim For, or they wanted nothing at all. In 2012, it seemed like fans might just get their wish. In August that year, Hackiyan got together with Fred Samato and Jeff Chum. The old friends had put their differences behind them and had reunited to perform an acoustic set. And there was more to come too. During the set, they announced that they were getting back together, for real. More shows followed across the fall and throughout the winter, and there was even talk of a new album. But the deal they had with Fueled by Ramen was now long expired, so just who would put this record out was a mystery. 2013 came and went with no new album. A free digital EP and a teaser track was the closest fans got to a new CIWWAF record. By the summer of 2014, it was clear that the Cute Is What We Aim For reunion wasn't working. Finishing up a stint on the Warped Tour, the band made an announcement. Cute Is What We Aim For were breaking up. Again. Amazingly, that failed reunion wasn't quite the end of the story. With the 10-year anniversary of Same Old Blood Rush upon them, the band got back together again in 2016. Hackiyan, Chum, Falcone, along with bass player Seth Van Dusen, headed out on an anniversary tour and played more shows in 2017. But don't forget, Cute Is What We Aim For had released 2 albums. So there was another 10-year anniversary on its way for 2008's Rotation. This tour was less triumphant. None of the other old school members joined Hackiyan on this one. Instead, Aaron Miller and Liam Schatzer handled guitar duties, with Evan Kirkley and Christopher Simmons on drums and bass. Fans weren't impressed by this. "Where are Chum and Falcone?" some asked on social media, along with the hashtag, "I remember the good old days." "Come see us with the new lineup," was the official response. "Careful though, you might enjoy yourself." I'm sure plenty of people did enjoy themselves, but plenty more were put off by the idea of Cute Is What We Aim For turning into a Vanity's solo project. Or worse, a tribute act. This reunion, like those that had gone before, was doomed to failure. Whether you loved CIWWAF or you were never really convinced by their music, you've got to admit, they gave it their best shot. For a little while, they were huge. They just couldn't make it stick, and infighting and personal issues got the better of them. So where are they all now? These days, Dave Melillo is a solo artist, and released the album You've Got Potential back in 2022. Tom Falcone is still drumming, and was sponsored by kit manufacturer Zildjian for a while after leaving Cute Is What We Aim For. Jeff Chum is a photographer these days, and his digital collages have scored quite a lot of attention online. So what about Shaant Hackiyan himself? Well, Shaant hasn't exactly been rocking the best look in the years since the breakup of his former band. Even in the twilight years of Cute Is What We Aim For, Shaant was pretty outspoken about some sensitive issues. When the safety of female students at Stanford University was called into question after the sexual assault of an unconscious woman on campus, Shaant took to Twitter to let the world know what he thought about it all. "Rape culture isn't a thing, for real," he said. "Playing the victim seems to fit the narrative." He later apologized for the comments, but the following year he was at it again. "Hey, most claims of sexism and racism are total BS. This isn't the 1960s. Please get a grip," he tweeted. What followed was a series of bizarre exchanges in which Shaant doubled down on his comments, then seemed to backtrack, and then started plugging Keith Buckley's book after the former Every Time I Die singer called him out. "I kindly ask that you do not shill my book on your timeline in a grasp for camaraderie," Buckley tweeted in response. "I completely disavow everything you say and stand for." Ouch. So yeah, it looks like the Cute Is What We Aim For story is finished. For good. And after Shaant's online outburst, that's probably for the best. What do you think of the whole Cute Is What We Aim For phenomenon? Do you wish they'd held it together for a couple of records, maybe got the chance to really hit their stride? Or were they just a flash-in-the-pan band, designed to capitalize on the popularity of emo and pop punk? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and of course, thanks so much for watching. I've got more emo and pop punk deep dives coming your way in just a sec, so don't go anywhere.